And 3, 2, we are live. Jack, episode 13. No One Told Me Hockey Podcast. What's going on?
Nothing. This just popped in my head. I got to ask you, do you like swimming pools? Like, do you mind the chlorine?
Do I mind the chlorine in swimming pools?
Yes.
No, I don't mind it.
So you don't mind like getting out of a pool? Like it doesn't bother you
No, it
at
doesn't.
all?
No, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, dude. Getting out of chlorine pools bothers me. The stickiness. Like, you don't get sticky in your arm. You don't get sticky in the arm.
Is this leading into I feel like we just started the pod and you're right into this chlorine situation.
Well, it just came up in my head. It wasn't even planned.
Well, next time I go 3, 2, 1, you're gonna hit me with a "How are you doing? I'm doing good." Now we're gonna talk about chlorine.
No,
not
you just got to. Sometimes you just got to dive in to a topic.
I guarantee you, some listener right now is checking their phone, making sure that they just skip forward about 45 minutes into the pod. 3, 2, how are we doing, Jack? How are we doing? You ever been in a swimming pool before?
Yeah. What about what about this? Salt water or chlorine? What do you dislike more?
We're sticking with the pool scene. I love it. I'm gonna go. I dislike salt water. I like chlorine. How was your day?
Well, I just got out of the pool about 45 minutes ago.
There we go. Okay.
Quick 40-minute swim. I'm actually almost like in the 40. So I swam for 42 minutes. I'm almost at the distance for like the triathlon.
Let's go.
I swam 1575, so 1,575 yards, and it's 1,650 yards.
Okay.
So I'm right there. And like the top guy, I was looking at the times for last year's. The top guy, I'm sure he's a good swimmer. He finished in 29 minutes the swim. So
let's go.
I feel like I'm granted it's an open water swim, so it's going to be harder, but I feel like I'm on pace. So
let's go. That's awesome.
I was happy about that.
Well,
I also just got a new watch, so like I'm able to now
a little Fitbit
to track. Yeah,
a little
able
Fitbit.
to track the swim and everything. So I'm hyped up over here.
You're dialed in. You're
dialed in.
Next,
up over
next,
here.
I know you're up. Next time we started, I'm gonna go 3. Yes, you did it. We're gonna came in wet too from the pool. You're gonna go 3, 2. How are you doing, Jack? You're gonna go great. I just hopped out of the pool. What are your thoughts on chlorine? Not no. What are your thoughts on chlorine? I respect.
Sometimes you got to keep you on your toes.
Keeps everybody on their toes. I love it.
So I'm doing good. Having a pretty good week so far. I want to get into this really quick too. So, you know, I've said a bunch of times, like we've gotten a ton of snow here, right?
Yeah.
Now, so we're in a drought, right? Everyone's like, oh, we need water. We need water. Now we've gotten a ton of snow. Now people are freaking out about flooding because if the temperature raises too quick. I guess this happened in like the 80s. Like it rose too quick and like the whole city was like flooding. So
really,
and and today it's 56 out. So
a little global warming.
We could be in flooding territory now. You can't win over here. First, people are upset about the drought, and now people are upset about how much it's snowing. And it's like,
it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because when I was in North Dakota the other weekend, got my hoodie on.
Mm-hmm.
Go Fighting Sioux.
Yes, sir.
They
have flooding problems.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how I brought it up. There was a river that was like super high. And I was like, is this normal? And they were like, no, like this is actually pretty bad because like the flooding, like snows a ton and then it melts real quickly, like becomes an issue.
Yeah. I think there was a big flood. I don't know, probably like 15 years ago there in Minot, North Dakota, where like it messed up some parts of the town. It was over the highway and everything.
Yeah, it's scary stuff.
But anyway, what are you up to today? How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm busy. I'm headed. One of my old teammates' bachelor parties is this weekend in Las Vegas, so I'm very excited for that. We are headed out there.
Vegas trip.
Yes, I had actually been to Vegas with my family when I was probably in like 5th grade. But so I've been there. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see the guys. Most importantly,
you've been there, but you haven't been there.
Yes, I guess so. I have been there, but I have not been there. It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, Vegas is a good time. You got to be careful out there. In terms of like, stay with like a buddy. Always be with one. I mean, it's busy, but I mean, there are some shade balls.
I was gonna say, like I said, I was like, I'm more excited just to like be with like people that like I care about and just hang out with them.
Yeah.
Like just being with those guys rather than trying to film a Hangover Part 4, which I'm not really interested in doing. Not really.
I will say. Okay, so quick. The clubs there are insanely expensive. Like I don't even think it's worth it. But like the pool parties, that's where it's at. Like you're out in the sun.
Yeah, but I gotta wear a swim shirt.
You can get in. Dude, it might be too cold for that.
So I shouldn't wear my like what's it called? Like Quicksilver
your
swim
skin,
shirt?
your squint. It's called this rash guard. It's called a rash guard.
I'm gonna need to wear a rash guard, long pants. Gotta stay away. Sun protection.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You remember we were in Florida?
Yes, I remember.
In Sarasota, and you refused to take your shirt off.
Yeah. Okay.
You were hiding under a towel. You were hiding under a towel.
Okay. Why? First of all, I'm from Florida originally. I've always hated the beach. Why? I don't like getting sand all up in me. I don't like that. I just go outside in my patio if I want that. If I don't want.
What's your technique for? So say you do go to the beach and you're walking to the car and you got the sand. What's your technique to get the sand off of you?
So I'm usually going one final dip in the water, get the sand off me, like majority of my body. Then I'm walking back. I'm picking up my shoes, not putting them on. Walking back, going straight to the fountain, fountaining my feet and getting in the car. However, and this is a big however, I have ditched any sort of tactics. And the majority of the time I realize if I'm going to the beach, I'm getting sandy. My car is getting sandy. I've given up. Like
you just got to vacuum it. Yeah, exactly. You just got to vacuum it. You know what I've heard though? I've heard that baby powder.
What?
You can, once you get to the car, you can put baby powder on your body that has sand and it comes right off. Haven't done it, but I've heard that works.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, baby powder it is.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't know if I'm buying baby powder and bringing it to the beach. I think I would rather just deal with the sand.
I think if I walk to the beach wearing a swim shirt, long pants, closed-toed shoes, a swimsuit, and a can of baby powder, I may get the police called on me.
Yeah.
So
and you're by you're by yourself.
Yeah, with a book.
You're going to jail
with a book.
You're spending the night in jail.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really interested in that. How do we even get on the topic of the beach again?
I don't know, man. Just happens like that. So I want to tell you about this though. So I saw this video last night about some guy on whatever a podcast was like, I downloaded this app and it like, so if you go to open like Instagram, I'm going to make this a sound bite because I'm going to make a video of it.
Yep.
So there's this app called 1 Sec and it's an app where if you open Instagram, this app like overrides it and that app opens up now. So this app 1 Sec and it says, are you sure? Or it says, take a breath and it opens up and it gives you like a timer. It's like a 6-second timer. And then it will ask you, do you want to proceed to Instagram or no? And so it's a way to kind of limit your touches on an app. So today I did it for the first time today. And I think I limited like my time going on Instagram like 15 times.
That's pretty good.
And it it tells you how much time you save. And it saved me like 50 minutes on the day.
I like that.
In terms of like not scrolling. It's called 1 Sec. And it's cool because it says take a breath and it like counts, does like this weird like up and down thing. And it kind of makes you think like, is it really worth it? Yeah. So I have it set for Instagram and it's easy to set up. It's like you got to set up a shortcut to the app and it will like override opening Instagram and open this app first. And then you can decide if you want to open it or not.
Oh, that's very cool.
I like it. Yeah, you would like it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Trying to limit. And it shows you how many times that it like you open the app up or like you went to open it up and you didn't.
Yeah,
so mine was at like 15 times today.
That's pretty good. I know that like the app, like the app settings, the settings app, like kind of lets you do a timer, but a lot of the time you end up just gassing the timer. It's like, ignore limit. Yeah. So no, that's a good idea.
So easy.
What's called 1 Sec, 1 Sec on the App Store. Shout out 1 Sec.
Yeah. Shout out 1 Sec. If you want to throw a sponsor, the No One Told Me Hockey podcast.
Let's go.
We gladly promote it. Get the boys off the phone.
1
Get them
Sec.
working on some skills. Get them outside. 1 Sec.
Let's go. 1 Sec. Here we come. So what's going on? What's going on? I'm looking at what we're talking about today on the podcast, and something in the notes has caught my eye Jack, I'm not going to say it because I care about my profanity on this podcast. What are you about to talk about?
Okay, so I have a problem with this at the gym, specifically in the pool and sauna area.
Yes.
It happens to be guys over around, I'll say around 35. Yep. It's 35 and over that this happens to. These guys will either be getting out of the water, like pool or hot tub, or, they're sweating in the sauna, and they just walk out and their pants are hanging like an inch below their ass crack.
It's not what you're looking for.
No care in the world. Like, if you're wearing shorts, I'm very aware of where the waistline is.
Yeah.
These guys, no concern, inch of the crack just exposed.
And how do you not feel the breeze? Like if someone's on the tread, if you're walking by the tread, someone's running, little wind.
Yeah.
You don't feel that breezing by?
Now, do you think like it's like at the age, like you hit 35, 40, you're getting up into the 50s, you just really don't care anymore?
I think so.
And it's usually like a guy, he like wears like a real long short. It's like a short that goes below the knee. It's usually like a swimsuit that doesn't fit too well. It's like a specific fit.
It's the guy carrying baby powder. It's the guy who's carrying baby powder.
The weirdo carrying baby powder.
The one with the swim shirt on, leaving the.
Did I lose you?
Uh-oh.
Hello.
The Wi-Fi trouble here at the 11:38
All right, well,
mark.
we are having a little malfunction.
I believe I may have
right
just
now.
lost Jack Nichols.
Righty.
Talking about ass cracks.
Happened. We rolled through the punches.
Overcome adversity. That's all right. We're overcoming adversity.
We knew this was going to happen eventually, doing an online podcast.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, but we're back. So, yeah, that is one of my issues at the gym. And I see it other places too. It's not just the gym. And it always seems to be the same kind of guy every time.
Yeah. No, you know what? I understand. I do think as a person, you got to be a little self-aware when those trousers are hanging down below the waist. You got
like are kids. Are you aware of the waistline of your shorts at all times?
I believe I am, yes.
Me too. Do you think you'll ever lose that awareness?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless I don't know. I don't think so.
Do you think it comes with like a couple extra lbs on the hips? Like you lose it?
Could be.
Or
could be.
Like the guys usually aren't that big, but they got a little
cushion.
Cabbage growing around
little cabbage
growing around little cabbage growing around the waist. So that is one of my new pet peeves that I've seen now twice in 2 days at the gym, back to back.
Back-to-back days. I hope it stays on a little streak, and I hope you get a little bit of action tomorrow.
A little ass crack action?
That would be awesome.
Let's go, baby. All right, so let's get into this. So we mentioned it on a podcast. Two podcasts ago, you brought up your surgery, and we really haven't got into that. We've kind of glossed over it a couple times, I think, but we've never actually gotten into it. So today we're going to get into maybe not a touchy subject, but definitely a tough subject for you, I'm sure, of what you went through. So first, why don't you just give like the rundown on, because I don't even necessarily
I was gonna say there was
like I remember when I found out, I talked to you, but I don't even know if I know like the whole story. So about your surgery and kind of what happened with hockey after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there was probably that little period of time when we were both in college, right? We were both so busy that we kind of just like would catch up with each other once a month probably. And then like after college.
Dude, no, not even once a month. I don't
once
think.
every other month, maybe. It was a bit
longer.
Like once,
it was like once every like 4 or 5 months probably.
Yeah. I guess so. It was so busy.
It's tough though in college. Like it's so tough. Like you got 30 guys to maintain on your team alone. And then.
Yeah, and you're running around. So yeah, I guess you didn't really hear the full story. I guess I'll start at the beginning. And throughout the story, we'll kind of go back and forth a bit because like there are things that I see now that I didn't see in the time that kind of could have maybe helped like as we navigated it. So when I first got to school senior year, right during captain's practices, I like felt something weird like in my chest a bit. Like it was just like my heart was like moving like pretty fast, and I was like, oh, like
more than normal.
Yes, yeah, like more than normal. Like I'd probably say like beat like that. Like, and I wasn't really doing much.
Oh, okay.
So this was like during the captain's skate. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm out of shape, right? Maybe I'm just getting back into things. Like I didn't think I was out of shape because I was actually like in the best shape of my life probably this past senior year. So I went to the trainer. I said, hey, like something's going on. Like she said, let's get you checked out. So I went to the cardiologist. They put on, they made me do like a stress test, and the stress test came back perfect. So they were like, no, like you're good to go. Like probably just like overthinking it or like haven't had enough like food in the day. So I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. So got back on the ice. I was feeling pretty good.
Okay, I got a question. Yeah. Was the cardiologist like, it was through the school, right? The cardiologist, but was it like, do they have a team like cardiologist on staff?
No, they sent me to a place. I don't want to say the name of the place, but it was a place that the school is associated with. So they kind of sent me back into it. They were like, yeah, like you're good to go. I was like, all right, like, awesome. Like great. Like nothing's wrong. So started off the season. I had a great first half of the season. Like I played a lot. I'd never been a points guy, but I played a lot. Like I was feeling pretty good. And like things were going pretty well. Heart wise, I didn't really feel anything at all. Now I returned, right? We went home for Christmas break and I returned to campus like early January, actually probably like right before New Year's. Right. So like late December. And we all got COVID. So like our whole team, we actually had games against UMass scheduled that we canceled because of COVID. So we're all out. That first practice back. Right. So I get on the ice and the first thing we do is like to warm.
Now I got a question. When you were like, had that COVID stretch where you guys were like on lockdown or whatever, were you working out or doing cardio or anything?
Yeah. I was like, I mean, everything I could do, I was doing. Like we were in our rooms and like could walk outside, but everything I was doing. So like was feeling pretty good. So get back on the ice and like right away in the first drill, my heart is like moving. Like I'm talking like like moving.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, like this is the first drill. Like what's going on? So what we were doing was actually like a 5-on-5 scrimmage to start practice. So I remember defending a rush and like what would happen, and we're going to rewind a bit in a little bit, was my heart would get moving so fast that I would like lose my vision. Right. So I would totally like lose vision and I would like be like, oh my God, like I can't see, like literally just can't see.
Was it like a blackout or
like
was
imagine
it kind of
like a
blurry?
Like imagine a movie where like your vision like starts to like go. Like you could kind of like see it like closing in, like blurry, and then you just like lose it.
Okay.
Like imagine a really bad head rush. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Where you can't see.
Okay.
So that's happening in this scrimmage and I'm like changing really quickly. Like I'm taking like quick shifts. I'm like, I need it to like calm down, but I can't get it to calm down. So I'm like kind of starting to think like, okay, like something's going on. Like maybe it'll go away. Like, I don't know. So now we get into like a 2-on-2 down low drill and I'm in a corner battle and my heart is like moving like I've never felt it move before. And I'm like, oh my God, like something's like really wrong. So they blow the whistle, we change, I get back in line and I like tap the kid next to me who I know, I'm not going to say his name, but I remember this like it's yesterday. I tap the kid next to me. I'm like, man, like I think like something's wrong in my chest. And he was like, no, like, don't worry about it. Like, get back in the rep. Like, we're fine. Like you're kind of just like telling me like, hey, like, you're good. Like, get back in here. As any good teammate would do. Like, hey, you're fine. Like, get back in there.
Don't freak yourself out.
Yeah, exactly. So the next rep, they dump it in and like immediately, like I start moving and like I lose like total vision. Like I changed myself. Like I didn't wait for the whistle. I was like kind of back, like playing defense. This is like a below the hash marks drill. And I like kind of skate off my own and somebody else goes in. So I like immediately like take a knee and I'm like, oh my God. I like remember this like it was yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, like my life's like going to change. Like something's like really wrong. So I like sat there for a bit and I was like, okay, like, do I just wait or do I like go to the trainer? And I was like, okay, like, I was like, I need to go to the trainer. Like I have to.
Yeah. Especially with like a heart thing.
Yeah. So I went to the trainer.
Right.
I went to the trainer and I may skip this part. It's not great. Regardless, I'm going to skip it. We decide to go to the doctor. Yeah. Right. So that next morning I go to the doctor. I tell the doctor what's going on. I'm like, hey, like, this is like, something's wrong. And the doctor's like, no, like you're healthy.
Same
guy.
Same guy as before.
Same guy.
Okay.
So he's like, like, no, like you're healthy. Like you just got to get back in shape. Like you just had COVID. And I'm like, I'm getting angry in this office. I'm like,
yeah,
man, like, what is going on? Doctor leaves. The physician's assistant, the PA, stays in the room. And his name is Josh. He's amazing. He looks at me. He's like, hey man, like I'm not really supposed to like do this, but like I think like it could be something called like atrial fibrillation. And I was like, okay, like what does that mean? And he was like, basically like when your atrium like moves really quickly, like the oxygen like can't get up and you lose sight. And I was like, I was like, I appreciate that. Like
what real quick, what is the atrium?
The atrium is like a portion of your heart. You have like the atrium, the ventricles. It's like a top section of the heart, kind of. I guess. Depending on where you're looking at it.
And you're saying it can't pump oxygen,
like when it's like moving so fast, like it can't. The blood like can't really. I'm not really sure on this. I probably should know.
Yeah,
the blood like can't move properly up top. Like everything's just out of whack.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, at this time, the beats it's not consistently like this, which is hard because I'll go in for a ECG and everything's like, oh, it's fine. It's like, no, like it's not fine. Like I'm not lying here.
It's like every doctor's appointment ever, like you got something wrong with you. And then as soon as you get there.
Yeah. But this was only happening during sports. Like this is only happening.
You were like elevating your heart rate.
Yeah. And it only happened it was that practice and it was a time before. And we're going to get back to the other times when I realized what it was later on. So the doctor says, okay, like we're going to give you a monitor. Like just put on the monitor. I'm like, great. Like I'll put on the monitor. And I'm at this point, I'm pretty frustrated. Like I'm communicating this with my parents. I'm like, hey, like they don't think it's anything. Like I know something's wrong. Like I know my body better than anybody. Like we're elite athletes, and anybody listening who was an athlete, like you know when something's wrong. So
were you scared at all? Like to go out and to practice?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. At this point, I wasn't like this all happened. So I had practice the next day. I went to the doctor and I was out. Yeah. Like I had the monitor on. It was like a thing that kind of stuck right here. And they were like, yeah, like skate. They're like, you got to get out there on your own and skate and see what it feels like and like ride the bike. And we need to get like you working out. So I skate and I feel okay, right? I feel okay in the skate. I don't feel great. And I get off the ice and I said to one of my teammates, I said, hey man, like, I don't know what's going on. Like they're like starting to get not worried, but they're like, oh, like what's going on? Like they can't really see anything. So it's like one of those things like concussion where they're like
we talked about last week.
Yeah. Where they're like, are you injured type of thing?
Yeah.
So the next day is a Thursday. They're leaving for a road trip. I stay back from the road trip. I got this monitor on and I get a call at like 5 p.m. from the doctor. And he's like, hey,
real quick, can they track that monitor? Is it like live track? Like they can see all the data?
Yep.
Okay.
So I get a call from the doctor and it's just, he says like, hey, like I need you to call me. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh boy.
Oh yeah.
So he calls me. I call him back. He's like, hey, like, were you working out today? I was like, yeah, I was. Like I was on the bike. He's like, okay, like, did you stop? I was like, yeah, I stopped. Like I didn't really feel great. So I stopped. He's like, well, we picked up your heart rate today at 215 beats per minute. And I was like, which like for someone who doesn't know the numbers, like your max heart rate is usually 220 minus your age. So I was 23 at the time. 220 minus my age would be 197. So 215 was where they had picked that up at. So they're like, we think it's something called.
And you weren't even working out like that hard.
No, I was on the bike, which means that day that I was on the ice, I was pushing like 300, like I was pushing high.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I'm glad that you stopped. He's like, if you didn't, you probably would have ended up passing out. I was like, oh, I'm glad too. I was like, so what do I do? He's like, we need you to see a specialist tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So I go to the specialist. The specialist basically has the data in front of me. He's like, you got 3 options. He's like, 1, you don't do anything. I got my parents on like speakerphone. He's like, 1, you don't do anything and you risk having a stroke. 2, he goes, option number 2, he said, we could put you on some medication, but you're going to have to take that medication forever. And I was like, that's probably not really an option either. He said, 3, we do a procedure called radio frequency cardiac ablation. He's like, basically go through your leg, go up to your heart, and we like do something to get rid of it. So I was like, I'm just in like a twister. I'm like, oh boy. Like,
you don't know what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah. So I like didn't want to do it at first. I didn't know. So I called, like, my parents and I spoke after. I realized at that time, right, I'm probably done playing for the season. So I just kind of like realized that, kind of sat with that for a bit. And then on that Monday, meanwhile, my uncle was helping me. My uncle's a doctor, so we were kind of like on the phone with him on what to do. On that Monday, I went to the coach's office and basically said, like, this is what's going on. And he was like, well, like, and I thank him so much for this. He was like, well, I could treat you as an injured player and you could just hang out. He's like, or you could be a part of the staff. And I was like, let's do this. Like, that'd be awesome. Be part of the staff. So got to like sit in on meetings and video and all that stuff. I kind of learned that side of the game and ended up, I had my surgery April 20th. So coming up on a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was everything was a lot worse than they had expected going into it. It took like,
it was a lot worse than expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the recovery was like shaky. The first week I went back into the hospital. Then they gave me some medicine and the medicine actually like worked. This is post-surgery medicine. And then I stayed on that all the way until November. So like November of this last year.
Yeah.
And now we're back at it, but I had the monitor on post surgery and like, it was picking up, like I'd just be doing this, like sitting here and my heart would be like sitting at like 185. So just be like sitting here, baby, there's like, like that, like it would just be like that in my chest. And like, there were times like what happens is like the heart like learns these pathways of like beating. Yeah. So like once it happens once, then it happens again and again and again and again. And like, it just like happens more and more often. And I had like having like a younger heart, like post surgery was like a long recovery, longer than expected, but the surgery is usually done or procedure is usually done on older adults. So that's basically how everything that I had gone through.
So are you limited to anything now?
No, like, right now I'm in it. I don't do caffeine. I just try to stay away from anything that would like unintentionally trigger anything.
Yeah.
I've had a coffee like since, but I used to drink a lot of coffee.
You rip decafs anymore? You should rip some decafs. Yeah.
I do decaf, but I haven't like, I used to do a lot of coffee, like 1 or 2 a day. Now I'm not on that anymore at all.
So when did you realize that you're probably not going to play again?
To be honest,
or did they say that you can't play again, or was that kind of a you decision, like you were in your senior year, kind of like how did that process go in terms of like deciding not to play again or whatnot? Or
I would say that in the moment, right, like when I was going through everything, like I was just worried about getting healthy. Like I didn't really even think of playing. Like I was like, I just need to get my heart fixed. Like it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like couldn't even. I mean, I did care a ton, but like I needed to like get healthy. Yeah. So now prior to this, like I knew that post graduation, like if a pro opportunity was there, maybe I would have. But I also wanted to, like the grad assistant thing had been a goal of mine for a long time.
Okay.
So like this kind of like helped me like transition into that. Like getting that half year was nice to be a member of the staff essentially.
Right, for sure. I'm sure. Did you learn a bunch during that? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, so much. Like it's very enlightening. Like hearing that side of things, very enlightening.
What do you think? What do you think the biggest thing that you struggled with was, like going through that whole thing?
That's a good question. I would say honestly, the fear, right? Like when you're dealing with something internal, like okay, like you had a broken leg, right?
Yeah,
you have your surgery, like you're healing. Right. When your heart gets going in the pre-surgery and post or pre-procedure and post, right. When your heart gets going, it's terrifying. It's
I bet. I can't even imagine having my heart like sitting here right now. And my heart was just like beating out of my chest. Like, it
feels like you're running a mile, like a fast mile.
Right.
And like and I look back, they had said like, have you ever felt stuff like this before? Now there were probably 10 instances within the last year prior to this that I had felt something like that before. Like I tried my best to go back.
But not that intense?
No, not that intense. And sometimes I would associate it with like dehydration or like not eating enough, which like are two things that could alter your heart rate.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's very clear that's what it was. Like, it's just your beats are just like like it's just like all messed up.
Are they out of rhythm too, or is it just they are out of rhythm?
Yeah. So there's actually two things. One's called AFib, right? It's pretty fairly popular, and also atrial flutter. The flutter is like the fib is more like like it's kind of like out of beat. So you put those two together, and it's not great.
I'm surprised the flutter isn't.
The flutter is so uncomfortable.
Is it?
Oh, that's like almost. I don't know. They're both pretty. I can't say that either of them are easy. Yeah.
So once you got your surgery and stuff and you're recovering, where did you, now that you like weren't playing hockey, how did you like, where else did you put your energy towards to like kind of have I know like, especially I'm sure like coaching was a big one for you, like going into like the meetings and stuff. I'm sure that helped you put your energy towards that. But like outside of the coaching, what did you do to put because you're focusing on hockey and school for the last 3.5 years, and now half of your life is like ripped away from you.
Yeah.
So now what were you doing to like put your energy towards other things?
Yeah, I would say one, the coaching was huge, right? So that Thursday, I was still traveling with the team, which was awesome.
Yeah,
right?
That's huge. That had to have been so huge.
Huge. So I'd still like, I'm so grateful that they let me. Like Thursday to Sunday, I was still with the guys, and I went to every practice, and I was doing like notes and video and like all that stuff.
Right.
So that took up a lot of time. It helped with the transition. I would say also, right, I started needing to find a job, like a grad assistant position.
Okay. Yeah.
So I started kind of reaching out to schools and kind of seeing what was available. I dove into my thesis. I gave a presentation on my thesis at like the senior seminar. So kind of did my best to stay occupied. I also doubled down like on my relationships. Like I did not like staying alone. I did not like sitting in my room. So I went to I went to the different apartments and houses and kind of just like made sure, even if it was sitting at the library, like I made sure I was like around people.
Right. I feel like with something like that, that's like probably the best thing you could do is like, don't seclude don't, put yourself just in your room by yourself. Like make sure you're still getting out there and interacting with the guys or other people around campus.
100%. 100%. Huge.
Now, okay. So what do you think like the biggest thing that you learned from that like part in your life? Like,
this is a great question. It's a great question. I thought about that a lot, and I do reflect on it. Is like at the end of the day, and this isn't anything, whether it's coming back from injury, whether it's a tough relationship, anything in life, right? At the end of the day, the most important people in your life are your family. And when I say family, I mean your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, right? The people who are there for you. I had amazing friends. Right? I still do have amazing friends, right? You included, everybody included, right? But when it's 12:30 at night and you're having issues, and for me, it was my heart, right? While you could call a lot of people, right? The people that are always going to answer the phone are your mom and dad. Like I'm so grateful for them. And I think that, right? Like when you're sitting in the hospital bed and you're like miserable or recovering, right? You can only do so many FaceTimes, right? But those people sitting next to you are your family. I think that family is so important. Like if you have a bad relationship, if you have a bad relationship with your parents, you're listening to this, right? Reach out. If you have a good relationship, reach out. Like you came from them. I joke around about that a lot. It's like, you came from your parents. Like
literally
how do you not like, how are you not close with them kind of type of thing?
No, I totally agree. And it can be definitely hard. Like when you got like a lot of things going on too, you kind of get lost in your life, and especially if you're living, not near your parents, you can kind of get lost and, busy and kind of in the moment where you kind of forget to reach out to them. Because it can be hectic. But that's a really good point. Because I mean, your friends like, they're there to support you and stuff, but I don't know if they're going to be answering the phone at 2 a.m.
Yeah. And look, you know what? Some of them may, but like
for sure, not every time. You know what I mean? Like, the
like
consistency
your family
is there with your parents. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So shout out mom and dad. You're great.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's a pretty crazy, finish to your hockey career, but I feel like that probably led you down the road of, solidifying what you're doing now in terms of coaching and, development and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that, look, everything happens for a reason. I tell that to the guys now, right? Like, had some guys have some bad injuries this year. And of course, like, a lot of them will turn to me, right? I say, like, hey, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, and I really do believe that. I know that it's hard to think that in the moment, right? Why would this happen to me? Right.
Yeah.
But it's, right, you take it. Life's a roller coaster. It's going to happen.
Right. Can you tell me what time we're at on the timer? Because mine's messed up now.
Yeah. So for me right now, it says 11:10. I think we're both behind.
Oh, okay. So I have no idea where we're at.
We'll just keep it going. Yeah, we'll keep it going.
All right. Well, that was good insight right there. That was the fullest story I got from it.
Yeah,
so it's
I don't talk about it that often. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy, honestly, that you had to go through that, especially like you just played however many years of hockey.
Yeah.
And for it to happen, 2 months before you're done. Possibly done for your, career or whatever.
Yeah. You know what I think about though, and this is important for people out there, right? A lot of people said to me, right? It happened during your senior year, right? Everybody says that.
Yeah.
Right. So and for a while it frustrated me, right? It's like, oh man, it did happen during my senior year, right? The fairy tale senior year, right? Where you walk off into the sunset, right? It doesn't happen that often to anybody. Right. If you look at every individual, right, in their life, they're going to face adversity, whether that's in their senior year, whether that's in their freshman year, sophomore year, frankly, it doesn't matter.
Or you're out when you're working.
Exactly. Yeah. How you deal with it is more important. And like, to be honest, a lot of people gave me this, like a lot of people, and I'm sure you have too, right, in your life, they give you the sob story. It's like, why with you? Why you? Right.
Yeah. For sure.
You know what was great was my coach at the time looked at me and he was like, all right, like, you want to join the staff? Like, let's do this thing. Like there was no sob story. Like I was like, yeah, like let's do this thing. Like
when it's like almost for like him, it's like, it's almost better that way. Cause it's like, he's not focusing on the negative part of it.
Yeah. Opportunity.
Right. It's like, we're just going to bypass that completely. Yeah. And we're just going to, move on to the next thing that you do have control over, that you can take part in.
Exactly. Just moving on.
That's a really good point. I think that's a good lesson right there. So, I don't know really how to transition.
We're about to pull a 180. We're about to pull a 180. We talk about surgery. We talk about chlorine. We talk about chlorine. We talk about ass cracks. We talk about surgery. For the listeners that don't want the deep
heart surgery.
For people that don't want the emotion and the draining. If you're here for hockey, we got it for you. We're talking about gear, hockey gear. That's what we're about to get into.
All right, let's run it, baby. All right,
let's go.
I want to ask you a question about this. So some people are, super tuned into like sticks and whatnot. Do you know like kick points and all of that? Or are you kind of just grab it and I'll make it work?
I'm grab it and make it work. We did customize our sticks and I did use the same one like for my 4 years, but I designed it once, I think, and I stuck with that design all 4.
Yeah,
I never changed it.
Some people get into like this one has a low kick point, mid kick point. The only thing I really care about is the flex and the curve. Those are the two things I care about, is those two things. I don't necessarily care about the kick point. I can barely shoot as it is, so it doesn't really matter.
As my coach would say, it's not the wand, it's the wizard.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been using that.
It's great.
Quite a lot lately.
One time, I think it was probably my sophomore year, I was filling out the stick sheet, like what I want on the specs with the Bauer rep. And my coach comes to my shoulder, he taps me, he's like, make sure you get the one with the goals in it. I was like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. You got to pick out a real special one for that.
Yeah, exactly. The wizard one.
All right. So what are your preferences on skates? What do you rock? What are you rocking with?
I'm rocking whatever the newest Vapor was at the time, of my senior year. I have 3 active pairs of skates.
I think it was Hyperlights. Is it Hyperlights?
Yeah, it could be.
Is it the one with the white in the back?
I think it's
the one you were.
Yeah, that's it. But we had custom colors. But yeah, the white.
Okay, that's good. I'm not a big fan of the white in the back.
Yeah,
but
little skill guy for me. I'm not really skilled.
You got to be like Patrick Kane-esque to be rocking the white in the back.
Yeah, so we have like a different color on the back. I also have the shot blockers on the sides, like the Kevlar on the sides. So that is what I'm rocking with. Now, this is an interesting one. I want to ask you. While you were playing and while I was playing, I frequently sharpened my skates, probably twice a week before the game and in the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I can say wholeheartedly throughout all these men's league games, I haven't sharpened my skates since December of 2021, like since my last game.
Yeah.
And it's fine. My edges are fine.
Oh yeah. I've gotten them sharpened once, and that's only because the guy that I play on a men's league with, he has a sharpener at his house. So I just gave him to him one time. But like if he didn't have that sharpener, there's no chance I'm going to get him sharpened at Pure Hockey. They're staying the way they are, and the edges are still perfectly fine.
Yeah, mine are fine. It's been forever.
Can you sharpen your own skates?
I can. I do know. A kid on the team taught me. A kid here on this team taught me.
Yeah. It's actually really easy to do. Like once you get the hang of it.
Yeah, I can. I maybe I'm not very good at it. I haven't done my skates, but I've watched and I've learned. So it's a new tool.
I was ripping mine out junior and senior year by myself.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to do.
It was because like whenever I needed to do it, I could just do it by myself. I didn't have to wait on anyone or anything. What kind of cut do you go with?
I am a 1/2 inch regular cut guy. Right, basic,
too.
baby.
Me too. Basic is. I used to go 3/8, and then that was when I was a little bit younger and lighter, and then like where you need a little bit more edge to dig into. But now a 1/2 with my body weight, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, for people listening, that when we're referencing the numbers, if you're not sure, right, 1/2 inch is right in the middle in terms of sharp and dullness. As you get now, you could maybe correct me on this. As you get closer to 1, it is less sharp, right? It's a duller blade.
Yeah.
As you get further from 1, it is a deeper cut, as in you stop and it's a quick stop.
Yeah.
Versus the closer to 1, right, you can even sharpen your skates out of 1, and you're gliding a lot more. You're not really digging into the ice as much.
Yeah. It's usually for like in quotes, like a heavier, like a player who's going to dig into the ice naturally, where you still get the glide, but like you're going to dig into the ice naturally just because like you weigh more from what I understand of it. And then if you're like on the lighter side or like a, sharper edge for like turning or stopping, usually it's like towards 0, I'll say.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, oh my God, have you ever done this where like you step out on the ice for a game and you like go to stop and you're like, this is not going to be a good game.
I was lucky. Our equipment guy at school was amazing. And like, if you needed to pop them out like real quick, like he would be able to do them. I was lucky. He never messed them up. Like never. Like, and I was lucky, but in junior, like
junior was the worst, dude. I was so in my head about the games as it was anyway that if one thing was off, I was like, this is it. The game's going to be terrible. I can't skate.
That's tough.
I can't stick handle. Oh,
that's tough.
God,
I got one for you.
Worst.
I got one for you as we go through the gear. I'm going to flip you back to the sticks. Are you a guy who retapes your stick in between periods or in warm-ups?
No.
Neither am I.
Unless it's like torn like through the middle, like, someone stepped on it. But for the most part, it's one and done and shut it down. Just try to dry it off in between periods. That's it.
Yeah, I'm one and done too. I think I've tried the retape a couple times. It didn't really work for me.
It's not worth it, dude.
It's a lot of activity.
It's a lot of work in between periods. I just like to sit there.
I'm trying to get a Cliff Bar or some Cheez-Its in me and a Gatorade.
Just do a hang. Yeah.
And hang out. That's what I'm looking for. What color? What color are you going with? White or black?
Black, baby. Hide the puck. No, I do use black, but I think it's softer for some reason. Like it's in my head that it's softer, and I like it softer.
Toe or no toe?
No toe, baby.
No toe.
No toe, baby. And then high heel. I go high heel to protect the heel.
High sock. You're going with the sock.
I got the sock. It's like it's not a mid calf. It's not a mid calf. It's like it's like a high ankle sock.
I saw somebody tape their stick with white tape and put a black Nike swoosh at the top.
That's kind of sick.
Oh, it was cool. It was cool. So I did. Yeah, that I would do black. There were some games I did play forward. I would go to white for that.
Oh, dude, you played forward in college
A couple
sometimes?
times, yeah, a couple times. My sophomore year.
I would kill to play forward.
My sophomore year, a couple times. It was fun. It's exhausting.
How did you get the chance to play forward?
To be honest, we were lacking. Like at the time, the reasoning was he had called me into my office, and I was
your
playing.
Office?
Like, no, he had called me into his office, and we were lacking some size up front, and the D core was great, and so I was kind of like playing like a 5th, 6th, 7th D, and he was like, "What if we tried you up front for a couple games?" And I was like, "Yeah, like if I'm staying in the lineup, anything to help the team." Like that was just one of those guys. So
did you have an absolute blast,
dude? So my first ever shift.
I would kill to play forward.
My first ever shift at forward, playing Canisius. He calls it out. He's Smezzard Harrison Feynman. Harrison's the wedding I'm going to in Vegas.
Yeah.
Buried.
No way.
Net buried. Front? First net ever shift. Net front.
Tip or what?
No, they kind of got it and like spun around on the back end and shot it. Now, looking back, right? So I played. So that could have been. Right, I joke around.
You could be in the NHL right now, maybe.
Well, it was funny because like I was there to play like a heavy game, and I scored a goal in front of the net. So like the guys were like giving me a hard time.
Game though. You don't play a heavy game.
I know. At college I did, but I tried to play heavy. I tried to. So now I'm like, now I'm going to play forward. So I ended up playing forward for a couple games after that. Went back to D and then played D from there on out after like those like 5 or 6 games.
Was that your most fun? Well, I guess the only thing that sucks about forward though is like you sit on the bench a lot waiting for shifts.
And I was not playing first, second line. Like I was up there fourth line. So fourth line probably.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when your minutes are seriously.
Dude, there was one. And the worst thing is the TV timeout because you're the fourth line, right? Or the third line, or whatever.
They get their rest. Now they're back up.
The TV timeout. They're back up at the top. There was a game. Next, we were playing Princeton at Princeton. I was having a pretty good game. I had forward. Yep.
Yeah.
I had one shift in the third. I had 3 shifts in overtime.
What?
1 shift in the third, 3 shifts in overtime. This was back when it was 5-on-5 overtime. This is early on in college. So he's like, he calls out the overtime line. I literally tapped the kid next to me. I was like, did he make a mistake? Like, am I actually going out?
Dude, my buddies who played forward on my team would always say that. They'd be like on the third line, they won't get a shift like all third period. And then they go into overtime and they play and they're like, what I haven't skated in 25 minutes.
The first shift I had in overtime, we hit the post. I was net front. I was like, oh my God, if we had scored there, like that would have been the craziest thing ever. We ended up winning in overtime. I was not on the ice, but we did end up winning.
Oh, dude.
It's fun. It is fun.
The last time I got a shift at forward. The last time I got a shift at forward was my last year of juniors. I played like a period, and
nice.
It was so much fun. Get a little dump and chase, baby. Lay a couple bodies.
Finishing hits? Have you ever taken a face off? You take a face off? I took one face off in college. Did I win or lose it?
We talked about it. You won.
Yeah.
100%. Your guy got kicked out, or the one guy's shoulder was hurt. Yeah. Oh man, I'm jealous. I've thought about this going into the coach's office my senior year and saying I wanted to play forward.
There were times, I have a really distinct memory. Talk about how much fun it was. We were playing Cornell at home and I was F1, but they had a set breakout. So I was stopped at like the top of the circle kind of.
Yeah.
And the crowd just going bananas. And I'm like the guy like right there. I'm like way better than D.
Yeah.
D, you have the puck. It's like nerve wracking.
Right.
Oh yeah. You're just kind of like sitting there.
The last thing you want to do is like a D is have to skate that puck out from behind the net flat-footed. You do not want to be flat-footed coming out from that net with that puck. Or when you get it like in the corner, like on a set breakout or something, you're like flat-footed. You're like, oh, please just do something good.
Do something right here. Yes. Get it out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if I have any other hockey or equipment questions. How about this though? This is kind of ridiculous. Now Bauer skates, like the Hyperlights or whatever, if you buy them from from Pure Hockey or whatever, they don't come with the blades.
Really?
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
They cost an extra like at least $100 to buy the blades on top of the skates. And the skates are just expensive as when they had blades in them, if not more expensive.
That's insane. That is
Yeah.
insane. I have a couple extra pairs. I did travel with a couple extra pairs of blades, but I mean, the team obviously traveled with them, but I mean, I don't know. To buy blades as a kid, I would have been lost. I know that there's a lot of names: LS2, LS4, black, white. Like I don't know what it is now.
Carbon, steel, aluminum, magnesium,
step steel. Now they got a lot of stuff.
I like step steels. So does that wrap it up? I think we're probably pretty close to time. We both have no idea because we had a little internet connection problem. That's what happens when you do an online podcast.
A little adversity. We talked about adversity this pod.
We roll through the punches, baby.
We're rolling.
So
we're rolling.
All right, wrap us up for the episode. Give us the rundown of what we went through.
We talked about the new app, 1Sec. If you're looking to get off of Instagram, hit up 1Sec. Shout out 1Sec company on the app. We also talked about Jack and his dislike for chlorine pools, ass cracks, and people who wear swim shirts to the beach just like me. We talked about a little bit of adversity I faced in college with a heart procedure, but took about some good lessons out of it. And we finished up with some talk on hockey gear. What a wrap up.
Wow, dude. That's a promo and a half for the episode.
That wasn't bad.
Wow, what a soundbite. What a soundbite. All right, that wraps it up for episode number 13.
Look at that.
No One Told Me Hockey 13. Podcast. We will see you all later. See you later, Fletcher.
See you around.